1953, beneath the frozen streets of Berlin, CIA agents began digging what would become the most audacious wiretapping operation in Cold War history. They were tunneling directly under Soviet-controlled territory, and the Soviets had no idea what was coming. This is the story of Operation Gold, the Berlin Tunnel, a mission so secret that only a handful of people knew it existed. Berlin in 1953 was a powder keg. The city was split between East and West. The Soviets controlled the eastern sector, and tensions were at breaking point. The CIA had a problem. They desperately needed intelligence on Soviet military plans, but human agents kept getting caught, executed. The traditional spy game wasn't working. That's when Bill Harvey had an idea. Harvey was the CIA's Berlin station chief, a heavy-drinking, gun-toting operative who thought big, really big. What if they could tap the Soviet phone lines directly? There was just one problem. The cables were buried deep underground. In East Berlin, behind enemy lines, Harvey partnered with the British Secret Intelligence Service. Together, they hatched an impossible plan. They would dig a tunnel, 1,700 feet long, straight into Soviet territory. The operation began in December 1953. American and British engineers started digging from a warehouse in West Berlin. The warehouse was a front. Inside, they built a massive excavation operation. The tunnel had to be perfect. Any structural failure would mean capture, torture, death. The stakes couldn't be higher. They dug 27 feet underground. The tunnel was 6 feet high and 6 feet wide. Every shovel of dirt had to be secretly removed, every sound muffled. The engineering was extraordinary. They installed air conditioning to keep the equipment cool, pumps to remove water, and most importantly, they had to work in complete silence. For 8 months, they dug, day and night. The tunnel crept forward inch by inch toward the Soviet cables. Harvey personally supervised every detail. In May 1955, they broke through. They were now directly under East Berlin, under Soviet control. One wrong move and the entire operation would be blown. The team installed sophisticated wiretapping equipment. They tapped into 3 major Soviet communication cables. Suddenly, they could hear everything. The intelligence hall was massive. They intercepted over 400,000 Soviet conversations. Military plans, troop movements, secret communications between Moscow and East Berlin. For 11 months, Operation Gold was a stunning success. The CIA was reading Soviet minds. They knew what the enemy was thinking before the enemy did. But on April 21st, 1956, everything went wrong. East German soldiers discovered the tunnel. The operation was blown. The Soviets turned the discovery into a propaganda victory. They gave tours of the tunnel to journalists, called it proof of Western aggression. The Americans looked like criminals. But here's the twist. The Soviets had known about the tunnel from the very beginning. George Blake, a British intelligence officer, was a Soviet double agent. He had betrayed the operation before it even started. Blake had told the KGB everything. The tunnel's location, its purpose, even the construction timeline. So why did the Soviets let it continue for 11 months? The answer reveals the deadly chess game of Cold War espionage. The Soviets couldn't shut down the tunnel immediately. That would expose Blake as their source, and Blake was too valuable to burn. So they played along. They fed the Americans real intelligence through the tunnel, but nothing too sensitive, nothing that would damage Soviet interests. It was a masterpiece of deception. The tunnel had cost over $6 million. It employed hundreds of people and generated 50,000 reels of magnetic tape. All of it compromised from day one. George Blake wasn't exposed as a traitor until 1961, 5 years after the tunnel was discovered. When he was finally caught, the full scope of his betrayal became clear. But Operation Gold wasn't a complete failure. The intercepted communications provided valuable insights into Soviet procedures and technology. and it proved that audacious operations were possible. The Berlin Tunnel became a legend in intelligence circles, a reminder that in the world of espionage, nothing is ever what it seems. Every victory might be a defeat in disguise. Today, a parking lot sits where the tunnel once began. The warehouse is gone, but the legacy remains, a testament to the incredible lengths nations will go to spy on their enemies. Operation Gold shows us that the most daring plans can succeed brilliantly and fail catastrophically at the same time. In the Cold War, that was just another day at the office. Want more incredible stories from the world of declassified intelligence? Subscribe to Declassified and hit that notification bell, because the truth really is stranger than fiction.